Good morning. I'm Remo, and France just summoned the U.S. ambassador over explosive accusations about anti Semitism, a diplomatic crisis that's shaking the transatlantic alliance. This is the Daily Signal for August 25th, 2025. Stay tuned for the rest of the stories.
Unfiltered. Now,
Here are the other top stories for August 25th, 2025. Israel launches massive retaliatory airstrikes on Houthi military positions in Yemen. 4 Palestinians gunned down by Israeli forces while desperately seeking aid near Gaza City. UNICEF official calls arguing over Gaza hunger crisis kind of obscene as suffering escalates. Russia and Ukraine complete major prisoner exchange through secret UAE mediation. European shipping giants cut off U.S. routes as critical tariff deadline approaches. Typhoon Kajiki devastates southern China, now barreling toward Vietnam with deadly force. Ukraine and Russia trade devastating drone strikes on Kyiv's Independence Day. Tens of thousands flood Australian streets in massive pro-Palestinian demonstrations. Israeli forces push deeper into Gaza City outskirts, massing troops for major offensive. Now let's dive into each story. Breaking overnight, France has officially summoned U.S. Ambassador Charles Kushner in an unprecedented diplomatic confrontation. Here's what happened. Kushner, father of Trump's son-in-law Jared, published a scathing open letter directly to President Macron. The letter accused the French government of failing to combat rising anti-Semitism since October 7th. Kushner wrote he was concerned about the dramatic rise of anti-Semitism in France and the lack of sufficient action. The French Foreign Ministry exploded in response, calling Kushner's allegations unacceptable and a violation of international law. They cited the Vienna Convention, which prohibits diplomatic interference in domestic affairs. Here's the shocking detail. Kushner has been ambassador for less than 7 weeks. This diplomatic crisis erupted faster than almost any in recent memory. Why this matters to you? This threatens the entire U.S.-France alliance at a critical moment when both countries need each other for global stability. The State Department is defending Kushner, setting up a potential long-term rift. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, Israel unleashed devastating airstrikes on Houthi military positions in Yemen overnight. This marks a massive escalation in Israel's regional conflict. The strikes targeted missile and drone facilities controlled by the Iran-backed Houthis. Israeli jets hit multiple compounds, aiming to cripple the group's ability to launch attacks on Israeli territory and commercial shipping. The Houthis had been firing rockets and drones at Israeli cities and international vessels in the Red Sea. Israel's message is clear: attack us, and we'll strike back harder. Critical update: this expands Israel's war beyond Gaza and Lebanon into Yemen, potentially dragging more regional powers into the conflict. Why this matters: Yemen is 1,200 miles from Israel. If this escalates, it could trigger a massive regional war involving Iran, Saudi Arabia, and U.S. forces stationed throughout the Middle East. In related developments, 4 Palestinians were shot dead by Israeli forces near Gaza City. The victims were reportedly approaching aid distribution points when they were killed. Witnesses say the Palestinians were unarmed civilians desperately trying to reach food supplies. Israeli military sources cite security concerns, claiming they couldn't verify the individual's intentions in an active combat zone. This incident highlights the deadly catch-22 facing Gaza civilians. They risk death staying home without supplies, and they risk death trying to get aid. The real story is the breakdown of humanitarian corridors that were supposed to protect civilians seeking basic necessities. Here's what they're not telling you. This pattern has repeated dozens of times, making aid distribution increasingly impossible and deepening the humanitarian crisis. Speaking of Gaza's humanitarian crisis, a top UNICEF official just made waves with blunt comments about the international response. The official called debates about hunger levels in Gaza kind of obscene, criticizing politicians and media figures who argue over statistics while children starve. This detail will surprise you. UNICEF officials rarely use such direct language, but the organization is clearly frustrated with bureaucratic delays blocking aid delivery. The key detail: UNICEF reports that malnutrition rates among Gaza children have reached catastrophic levels, yet international debates focus on numbers rather than immediate action. Why this matters to you? This represents growing frustration among humanitarian organizations with the international community's response to the crisis. When UNICEF breaks diplomatic protocol, the situation is dire. On the diplomatic front, Russia and Ukraine just completed another prisoner exchange. But here's the twist. The United Arab Emirates secretly mediated the entire deal. The UAE has emerged as an unexpected power broker in this conflict, successfully negotiating humanitarian measures while staying officially neutral. You'll want to remember this number. This marks the largest prisoner exchange in 3 months, involving dozens of military personnel from both sides. Critical development. The UAE's growing role suggests traditional mediators like Turkey and European powers are losing influence in peace negotiations. The real story is how Middle Eastern nations are reshaping European diplomatic dynamics. The UAE is positioning itself as an indispensable mediator for future peace talks. Meanwhile, in related developments affecting your wallet, European shipping giants are cutting off U.S. routes as a major tariff deadline approaches. This means potential shortages and price increases on European goods hitting American stores within weeks. Think luxury cars, machinery, and specialty foods. Here's what happened. Major European shipping companies announced they're suspending or limiting freight operations to U.S. ports. This is economic warfare disguised as business decisions. This detail will surprise you. Some companies are diverting ships mid-ocean rather than risk being caught by new tariff structures. Why this matters? Your holiday shopping could get more expensive and limited. This also signals how quickly trade wars can disrupt global supply chains. Now let's connect these stories. You're witnessing 3 major patterns reshaping our world. First, diplomatic norms are collapsing. From France, summoning the U.S. ambassador to shipping companies, bypassing traditional trade routes, established international protocols are breaking down. Second, the Middle East conflict is expanding beyond anyone's control. Israel's strikes on Yemen, Gaza's worsening humanitarian crisis, and regional powers like the UAE stepping up as mediators show this isn't contained to Gaza anymore. Third, economic warfare is replacing traditional diplomacy. European shippers cutting off America, combined with natural disasters like Typhoon Kajiki disrupting Asian supply chains, means global commerce is weaponizing faster than ever. Here's what this means for you. Expect higher prices, diplomatic instability, and continued regional conflicts that impact global markets. The old world order isn't just changing, it's fragmenting in real time. Remember this detail as you plan your week. These aren't isolated stories. They're connected pieces of a larger puzzle, showing how quickly international stability can unravel. This is Remo with the Daily Signal. Thanks for staying informed with us today. Share this with someone who needs to understand what's really happening in our world right now.
Unfiltered.